Long ago, in the beautiful city of Jerusalem, there lived a young king named Solomon. He was the son of King David and Bathsheba, and after his father passed away, Solomon became the new king of Israel. Even though he was young, Solomon wanted to be a good king, kind, fair, and wise. He knew he had a big job to do, but how would he lead so many people? Up in the tall olive trees that lined the palace courtyard, Gili the nightingale sang her morning song. "Solomon has a big heart," she chirped, "but he'll need help." On the ground below, Baruch the bunny twitched his ears and nodded. "I hope he asks God," Baruch said softly. One night, after Solomon became king, he had a dream. But this was no ordinary dream. It was a very special one. In this dream, God spoke to him. "Solomon," God said kindly, "ask me for whatever you want, and I will give it to you." Solomon could have asked for anything, riches, power, or long life, but he didn't ask for any of those things. Instead, Solomon knelt down in his dream and said, "God, I am young, and I don't know how to be a king. Please give me a wise heart so I can know what is right and lead your people well." Gili flapped her wings with joy. "He asked for wisdom," she sang sweetly. Baruch's nose wiggled as he smiled. "That was the best choice of all," he said. God was very pleased with Solomon's request. "Because you have asked for wisdom to help others," God said, "I will give you a wise and understanding heart. No one will ever be as wise as you, Solomon, and I will give you riches and honor too." When Solomon woke up, his heart was full of joy. "Thank you, God," Solomon whispered. Gili sang from her tree. "Solomon will be a wonderful king," she said. Baruch hopped beside the garden wall. "And he will lead with kindness," he added. And soon the people of Israel saw Solomon's wisdom. They came from all over to hear his advice and see how he judged fairly and kindly. One day, a very special visitor came from a faraway land. She was the Queen of Sheba, and she brought a long caravan of camels loaded with treasures, gold, spices, and precious stones. Her robes were colorful, and she wore a golden crown that sparkled in the sunlight. "Who is that?" Gili asked, fluttering closer. "That's Queen Sheba," Baruch said. "She's heard about Solomon's wisdom and has come to see if it's true." Queen Sheba was very curious. She had heard many stories about Solomon's wisdom, but she wanted to test him herself. "I will ask him the hardest questions I know," she said, smiling kindly, "and I will see if he is as wise as they say." When Queen Sheba entered Solomon's grand hall, she was welcomed with music, laughter, and warm smiles. Solomon greeted her kindly. "Welcome to Jerusalem," he said. "Ask me anything, and I will do my best to answer." Gili perched on a nearby window ledge, listening closely. "This will be interesting," she chirped softly. Baruch sat quietly at the edge of the garden, his ears perked. Queen Sheba began asking her questions. Some were about the world. "Why does the sun rise in the east and set in the west?" she asked. Solomon smiled. "Because God set it in the heavens and gave it its path," he answered. She asked about the stars. "How do they stay in the sky?" "They follow the path God has given them," Solomon replied gently. Then she asked about people. "What is the greatest thing someone can do?" "To love God with all their heart," Solomon said, "and to love others as themselves." Queen Sheba nodded thoughtfully. "Your answers are wise," she said. But she had more tests. She brought 2 beautiful flower garlands, one made of real flowers and one made of silk. They looked exactly the same. "Which one is real?" she asked Solomon. Gili whispered to Baruch, "Even I can't tell." But Solomon smiled. He opened the window and a little bee flew in. The bee landed on the real flower, searching for nectar. "This one is real," Solomon said, pointing to the single flower where the bee had landed. Queen Sheba clapped her hands in delight. "You are truly wise," she said. Next, she asked, "What is the most important treasure in a kingdom?" Solomon thought for a moment and said, "A heart that listens to God and cares for others is the greatest treasure of all." Gili sang happily from the windowsill. "Such wisdom," she chirped. Baruch nodded. "He's not just smart, he's kind," he said softly. Queen Sheba toured the palace and saw the happy servants, the beautiful gardens, and the peace in the streets. She saw how Solomon led his people with fairness and joy. She even visited the temple of God, where the people worshipped and prayed. When she was ready to return to her own land, she gave Solomon many gifts: bags of gold, sweet-smelling spices, and precious jewels. "You are even wiser and kinder than I was told," Queen Sheba said. "Praise be to your God, who has given you such wisdom." Solomon smiled and thanked her. He gave her gifts in return, things from Jerusalem that she could take home and share with her people. Gili fluttered her wings as she watched Queen Sheba's caravan disappear over the hills. "She came with questions," she said. "And left with answers," Baruch finished. King Solomon stood at the top of his palace steps and thanked God quietly. "Lord," he prayed, "help me always lead with wisdom and kindness." Gili sang from the garden wall. "Wisdom brings peace," she said. Baruch wiggled his nose. "And kindness brings joy," he added. Solomon also built a beautiful temple in Jerusalem. It was made of stone and covered in gold. Inside was a special place for the Ark of God, where the people came to pray and worship. When the temple was finished, Solomon gathered all the people. He stood before them and lifted his hands. "Let us thank God," Solomon said, and together they prayed, sang songs, and worshipped God with glad hearts. Gili watched from the temple roof and sang along. "This is a happy day," she chirped. Baruch hopped near the temple gates. "Solomon's wisdom built a house for God," he said softly. And so King Solomon ruled with great wisdom, always remembering that it was God who had given him such understanding. Every day he asked God to guide him, and he shared that wisdom with all who came to him. At night, when the stars twinkled in the sky over Jerusalem, Solomon would sit quietly and thank God for his blessings. "Help me always listen to you," Solomon prayed softly. And high in the trees, Gili sang her gentle song, while Baruch rested peacefully in the quiet garden below. The end.